Oh, he believes a lot of wild things. One of them is transgender surgery for people who are under 13.
So for those out there who are wondering, aren't there something else you could be doing or doesn't seem to impact you in your life? This is what it means to show empathy. This is what it means to be welcoming.
He changed the Minnesota state flag to make it look like the Somali flag. You haven't seen that?
But our current flag is problematic. I think we all know that. We've evolved into a more diverse state, and I think it's more reflective of
Joe Rogan just stumbled onto something about Tim Walz so wild, it makes UFO sightings look completely normal. Suddenly, Walz stops being a politician and turns into a full-blown walking plot twist. Rogan's got enough material to roast him harder than elk meat on a Texas grill. This isn't politics, it's reality TV that accidentally got filmed in Minnesota. What Joe uncovers is a mix of comedy, chaos, and conspiracy energy all rolled into one. Trust me, you'll want popcorn for this absolute meltdown.
Think about Walz's descriptions of his military career, because there's some issues there that people have. I don't know if he flat out ever said that he served in Afghanistan, but he certainly didn't dissuade people from saying that he was, when they were saying he didn't correct them.
Right.
There was things
he didn't. And
if you're enjoying this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It helps way more than you think. Joe Rogan's seen some bizarre things in his life. UFOs, politicians pretending they know what elk meat tastes like, and health gurus swearing kale smoothies can cure everything from the flu to failed marriages. But even Joe wasn't ready for Tim Walz, a politician who somehow makes Minnesota look like the set of a low-budget sitcom gone off the rails.
If that Tim Walz cocksucker, if that guy got into power, like if Kamala died and Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, was our president, you know how crazy this country would be? That weirdo who puts tampons in the boys' room, and what about our joy? Like, he's a complete pathological liar, like a complete liar. Lied about being in Tiananmen Square, lied about being a fucking head coach of a football.
When Rogan pulled back the curtain, what he found wasn't a mastermind at work. It was a man juggling pure chaos like a clown at a state fair. Tim Walz has somehow mastered the art of looking busy while achieving almost nothing. It's basically the political version of running on a treadmill. All sweat, no progress. The illusion of motion without ever moving forward is almost impressive in its own ridiculous way.
I don't know. Tim Walz is out there talking again.
Did you say he could fight any Trump supporter?
Yeah, he says he kicked their ass, and they're scared of him because he could fix a truck. Like they're threatened by his masculinity. I know how to fix a truck. So he said, like, do you? I bet you don't.
The lady doth protest too much.
I bet you don't.
I fear.
I bet if I bring a broken truck to you and a bag of tools.
That was kind of the redress, right? That was the attempt. It was like, we're gonna the symbol of masculinity on the left is going to be
Rogan couldn't help but notice that every time Walz tries to show off his leadership, it feels less like authority and more like a substitute teacher losing control of the class 5 minutes in. Minnesota wanted a strong leader. Instead, they got a confused dad trying to figure out how to program the TV remote. Its leadership turned into a family sitcom, and the laugh track writes itself.
This video of Tim Walz doing the exact same thing.
Right.
Exact same thing, and he said, of course, it's a Nazi salute. He said that.
Right.
We spent 3 days debating, having them trying to debate that President Musk gave a Nazi salute. Of course he did. But that is a distraction.
This is how crazy things have gotten. Like,
And the wild part is, Walz isn't even trying to hide it. The man acts like he's unlocked the secret code to running a government. But Joe noticed that his so-called big ideas sound like they were copied straight from a 2003 motivational calendar. It's the kind of stuff that only sounds deep if you're half asleep in a dentist's waiting room. Rogan exposed the comedy of it all. Not with cruelty, but with that classic, "are we seriously doing this?" tone he usually reserves for people explaining flat earth theories.
Interviews and there's no pushback. There's no like, excuse me, I didn't go to Iraq, right?
Exactly.
And I retired, as my unit was deploying. And so
we retired a couple months before.
A couple months before,
right?
Yes,
what is the whole
but those
story
guys know
behind it?
they know that they're going right. It's not like they suddenly get a paper, on one day. There's a build up to that, and they're aware of it. And so, even his personnel were saying, look, we all knew we were going. He knew he was going. Now, okay.
What's even funnier is how Walz walks around like he's the hidden hero of American politics, when half the country couldn't even pick him out of a lineup. Yet here he is, acting like he's auditioning to play the president in a high school drama. Joe couldn't ignore the absurdity, because once you peel back Walz's layers, there's no mastermind underneath, just a guy desperately trying to fit in with the pros while holding a playbook written in crayon. Rogan's whole thing is digging beneath the surface. And with Walz, he found that the surface was the only thing holding the chaos together. On the outside, you get the smiling politician act, but once Joe started connecting the dots, it turned into less trusted leader and more guy who probably shouldn't be left alone with sharp objects. Every story led to another ridiculous twist, like peeling an onion only to realize it's actually a cabbage someone spray painted. One of Joe's favorite moments was calling out how Walz talks about leadership like he's giving a TED Talk, yet the results look more like a kindergarten art project. Messy, confusing, and proudly displayed as if it's revolutionary.
He's 100% right with Tim Walz.
I know I'm doing something right when the Fox News crowd is all pitching at me like crazy. Like, I'm loving it.
That guy was almost the vice president of the United States.
Elon Musk was crying last week. Tim is being mean to me, basically, yeah.
I'm sure you've seen that thing where it shows Obama saying, I need a vice president that's dumber than me.
He may or may not have cognitive decline problems at his age, but at her age, she's just dumb.
Biden and
I think I
Biden
was
saying,
saying that
I
on
need
your,
a vice
Picture someone giving a big speech about innovation while using a flip phone. That's the exact level of irony we're dealing with. Walz loves to stand tall like he's rewriting history, but what Joe exposed is that half the time, the man's just rewriting his grocery list. What really cracked Rogan up was how Walz carries himself as if Minnesota is the epicenter of some political revolution, when it's really the testing ground for dad jokes and painfully awkward town halls. Walz thinks he's running Rome, but Joe sees a lemonade stand with questionable math. The people around him either buy into the illusion or pretend to, because who doesn't enjoy watching someone accidentally trip their way into power like it's a game of political Twister? Rogan couldn't overlook Walz's uncanny ability to turn every serious opportunity into a sitcom gag. Give him a chance to look presidential, and suddenly it feels like a blooper reel. Hand him a national issue and he'll return it like a badly wrapped gift. Torn paper, no bow, and missing instructions. Joe joked that Minnesota politics isn't even government anymore. It's a reality show that didn't get renewed after season 1. What's wild is how Walz keeps floating through it all, bouncing back from every blunder like a cartoon character that refuses to quit.
You seen this video?
I haven't seen. Please play it.
It's probably a real person. It might not be Tim Walz. Trump is AI generated.
No, he slaps his...
I mean, that is hilarious.
Oh, it's definitely him. This is all 100% real, Jamie. You're a plant by the
Jamie's
government.
compromised.
On top says it's AI generated.
Riley
So
Moore
what?
fell for an AI-generated video of Minnesota government. I fell for it too. And you know why I fell for it?
Yeah.
Because I believe that he's capable of doing something.
It's almost impressive. Like watching someone slip on ice, but somehow not fall flat. You can't tell if it's skill or just dumb luck. Walz dodges accountability like he's Neo in the Matrix, except instead of bullets, it's bad decisions flying at him. This is where Rogan really had fun. He tore apart the idea that Walz is some misunderstood genius. Nope. Joe compared him to an overconfident substitute gym coach. Sure, he can give a fiery pep talk about teamwork, but when it's time to run real plays, you'd be better off asking middle schoolers with a whiteboard. Walz keeps pretending he's playing chess, but Joe exposed that it's actually Candyland, and he's still losing. The deeper Rogan went, the stranger it got. Walz has this habit of over-explaining everything, as if talking longer will magically make nonsense sound wise. But Joe wasn't fooled. He saw right through it. Walz's speeches are basically the audio version of those motivational cat posters. The ones where a kitten hangs from a branch under the words, "Hang in there." It sounds inspiring, until you realize it's just a cat that got stuck.
More time. I mean, they were talking about cracking down on hate speech online. Like, that free speech is not hate speech. That Tim Walz guy was actually saying that.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Hate speech.
But here's the real kicker. Walz somehow convinced people he's relatable. Rogan called it out. The guy's idea of being down to earth sounds like it was written by a marketing intern on their third cup of coffee. It's not authenticity. It's improv comedy with a 2-drink minimum. Walz struts around trying to play the everyman, but Joe exposed that he's closer to an AI bot programmed to say folks every 3 sentences. And just when you think Walz has reached peak awkwardness, he manages to top himself. Joe pointed out that Walz doesn't just stumble. He stumbles with enthusiasm like it's part of the plan. He'll proudly announce a big initiative only for it to collapse faster than a dollar store lawn chair. The man collects political blunders like trophies, stacking them up as if history will one day applaud his legendary missteps. Spoiler alert, it won't. But Joe didn't just call out Walz's politics. He went after the entire vibe. Imagine Walz walking into a room. The mood changes instantly, not from respect, but because everyone's bracing for the unintentional comedy show he's about to perform. Rogan compared it to watching someone try karaoke for the first time. Confident, loud, but completely off key. You don't want to laugh, but you just can't help it.
You know? No. The video of him taking down the Minnesota flag and he replaced it with the new flag that looks a lot like the Somali flag. Minnesota has a huge population of Somalis in it.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute.
So he gets the flag, picks it up, and replaces it.
There, that's better.
Why is that better?
Here's where the irony really hits. Walz actually believes he's nailing it. That's the magic trick. While everyone else sees a blooper reel, Walz sees a highlight reel. Joe exposed that the man's greatest skill might be his ability to live in an alternate reality where every mistake counts as a victory. It's delusion turned into a superpower. And somehow, it works just long enough for him to keep a straight face on camera. But Joe didn't stop there. He dug into Walz's obsession with chasing trends like a surfer who never learned to balance. Rogan laughed at how Walz thinks saying the right words is the same as doing the actual work. If politics were karaoke, Walz would be the guy mumbling through lyrics he doesn't know, hoping the crowd doesn't notice. The funniest part? The way Walz reacts to criticism. Rogan revealed that he treats every bad headline like it's a personal attack from the universe. Instead of learning, he doubles down with the confidence of someone who just misread a map but insists the car's going the right way. Joe said it best, and watching Walz handle adversity is like watching a guy try to fix a broken sink with duct tape. It doesn't work, but you've got to admire the effort.
American history.
Kamala saying, I need a vice president dumber than me. It's Walz. Men have tampons.
We have a lot of accomplishments. We haven't taken adequate credit for it, frankly. We got to do a better job of getting the word out about what we have accomplished and who did it.
You got to lose because we got to break this cycle. We're getting way too...
And the timing couldn't be more perfect. Joe's takedown of Walz comes right when people are begging for authenticity. And here's Walz delivering the complete opposite. Fake charm with a heavy dose of awkwardness. Rogan's breakdown proved that Walz isn't just out of touch. He's practically orbiting a whole different planet. It's not evil, it's hilarious. The man truly thinks he's starring in a gripping political drama, when in reality, he's the comic relief everyone can't stop watching. By the end, Rogan painted a picture of Walz that you can't unsee. A politician who stumbled into fame by accident, convinced himself he was destined for greatness, and has been improvising ever since. That's why people couldn't stop laughing. Joe didn't just call him out. He revealed the unintentional comedy act that is Tim Walz's political career. From the exaggerated speeches to the awkward timing, from the dad joke policies to the overblown confidence, Walz became less of a leader and more of a walking blooper reel. Minnesota wanted a governor, but what they got was a sitcom star. And thanks to Joe Rogan, the rest of us finally got front row seats to the show. The more people replayed Joe's breakdown, the clearer it became. This wasn't a one-time mistake, it was a full-on pattern.
Complete pathological liar.
Let's be honest. There are outsiders coming into communities, stealing and moving jobs away, and making life harder for people living there. And they have names: Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
Complete liar. Lied about being in Tiananmen Square. Lied about being a head coach of a football team.
Because this started, and I love this story, as a young prosecutor
Kamala Harris talked about going in that courtroom for the first time.
Pathological liars, people that are habitual liars, they just lie all the time about everything. Oh, you didn't deploy for war. You didn't. Why are you saying you deployed at war? The weapons you used in war? No, you were in war.
I plan on waking up on November.
Walz isn't unlucky. He's consistent. Every move, every speech, every serious attempt at looking presidential somehow turns into a blooper reel. It's almost admirable. Like he's dedicating his entire career to proving gravity hits Minnesota politicians harder than anyone else. You'd think he'd learn eventually, but nope. He just doubles down, proudly walking into the same glass door twice. It's like watching a magician who only knows one trick, and even that trick fails half the time. Minnesota keeps clapping politely, but you can tell they're wondering if maybe, just maybe, they deserve a headliner instead of the warm-up act. And that's the real punchline. Walz still thinks he's killing it. He struts around delivering Oscar-worthy monologues, completely unaware that everyone else is watching a comedy reel. Joe Rogan didn't need to dig up secret files or hidden scandals. All he had to do was hold up a mirror. What reflected back wasn't corruption or villainy, but something far funnier. Tim Walz, the unintentional comedian of politics, starring in a never-ending sitcom nobody asked for. Yet everyone can't stop watching.